Are you sick and tired of people pleasing, saying yes when you really want to say no, and giving all of your energy, love, and attention to other people, other things, and ending up with nothing left in your tank? If so, this episode is for you. You're in for a real treat. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Bliss Movement, a podcast for big-hearted, driven women daring to be great who know that this starts by pouring love into themselves first. I'm Dr. Fee. I'm passionate about helping women to stop tuning out and burning out, but to tune within, reconnect with your heart, feel lit up, follow your bliss, and live life on your terms. So, get ready to expand your life beyond what you thought was possible when it comes to healing, wealth, love, purpose, and leadership. When women decide to not change themselves, we change the world in the most beautiful, magnificent way. What a way to start this episode. I'm so thrilled that you're here, and we're going to be talking about all things people pleasing, most importantly, how to break free of it. And I'm going to share with you 3 essential keys to showing up powerfully as your true self, tapped into your heart and truly honoring your full expression. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you some sensitive information about my childhood, past trauma that I've experienced, some sexual trauma. And so just a little warning for those of you who are tuning in who have had similar, but also even if you're like, that's not my past, it's still, when we start to explore these patterns of sabotage like people pleasing, perfectionism, procrastination, stay tuned, they're coming in future episodes. We really need to go into the level of our emotions and our heart. And so just be present and really notice what comes up for you and honor your own process as we have this conversation today. My intention, as always, is that you walk away forever changed, inspired and motivated to take really inspired steps towards your own well-being, tap into your heart and truly follow your bliss, because we have this one precious life. Let's make the most of it. So, I think most women, if not all women who are in my world, would really resonate with this pattern of people pleasing. This sense of, saying yes when really you want to say no, or a habit of giving to a point of depletion, or finding that other people's priorities, way more important than your own. And we kind of just get used to dismissing our emotional needs or what's right for us because everything else is seemingly more important. And it can sometimes spiral us into feeling so overwhelmed, thinking that there's no solution. I don't have any time. I don't have the resources. I don't have any space. I just don't have what it takes. And actually, when we realize that the core of it is this particular energy and narratives, when we actually address that and the noxious weeds, pull them out from the roots, what happens is that we shift internally, a shift happens, and it does create a shift in how we can see things and acknowledge solutions that are right for us. Unless we do that, you could have the most amazing mentor or a time management app or all your well-meaning friends giving you all the potential solutions of what they do, what's worked for them, but you won't be able to it won't land. It will just bound off you and you won't be able to grasp it because inherently there are these factors at play that is really stopping you making powerful changes and different decisions and different actions in your life because of the core patterns and core processes and wounds and trauma and shadows and all these deep things at play that keeps these patterns of people pleasing in place. So with that, take a nice deep breath in. And I'm going to invite you to really, even if you've tried before to put boundaries in place, have work-life balance, say no. All right, I'm going to let that person go. I want more standards, bigger standards for myself. You do your affirmations or you do the work and you're just finding that actually it doesn't last, or, you're good for a little bit and then you're not, or you're doing it all, but nothing really is changing. it's okay. And I just know that you'll be able to you'll get something that you really need, require, or desire in this conversation. So when we realize, I think on a cultural level, actually, I don't think on a cultural level, let me just say that with more conviction, on a cultural level, women, girls, we're really cultivated, conditioned to be Little Miss Perfect, aren't we? Like to really, we're left with this sense of, I don't want to disappoint myself or disappoint others. It's one of our biggest fears as women. Boys are more conditioned to be brave. Come on, show up and be brave. And I'm so appreciative and so grateful. I don't have little girls in my family. I've got 2 boys. But just witnessing the shift that is happening as women are doing this work for themselves, they're breaking these patterns and stepping out of this cultural ideology and influence, but it's still there. And for me, I'm still in this classroom. I think when we do this inner work and are on a personal development or a spiritual path, we think, okay, I've been in the classroom of resolving my people pleasing or my perfectionism or this procrastination or these core patterns that just like, oh, they frustrate me. Here I am. I'm going to fix it. But really, the path of fixing it is noticing that it will still come up, but how you lead yourself through it when it happens is actually the mastery. It's actually the process. It's where you will really liberate yourself from the pattern. And just to explain that, I noticed myself this week after having a conversation with my beautiful mentor, Shoshana, one of my mentors. And I was considering the timing of launching a new free class, and I felt like I should do it at this time because that's what she would expect me to do. Now, she's not that way inclined. I've just projected, or this part of my people pleasing has projected these assumptions and expectations onto her. It's got nothing to do with her. I'm like, she's going to judge me if I don't do this or follow through or show up even stronger. In fact, it's just so funny because it's the exact opposite of who she is. I mean, and so it's not that that's a problem that has happened. You know, I can laugh about it. We get to see that this is the nature of our mind. And so if you find yourself like, oh, here I am again in this classroom, just recognize it's like a layer of the onion. And the more that we just don't give it power and truly meet it, and these shifts that I'm going to talk to you about, the 3 keys, really lean into this in a really powerful way. You will lead yourself through it and not get caught up into the people pleasing or, like, all right, I won't do it, on the lack of clarity, not knowing what should I or should I not, it all becomes this inner stew and battle and mess. And instead we can just recognize, aha, here it is. And I can support myself. I can hold space for myself, and I can do this work to lead myself through it and not get caught up in the old people-pleasing tendencies. So for me, I am a recovering people pleaser. And the themes or the real events in my life that have really contributed to this classroom of people pleasing that I've been in for pretty much the majority of my life started when I was a really young child, around the age of 3 or 4. And at that time, I was living on a farm. My parents still have this farm. It's a beautiful, beautiful childhood to grow up in this way. My parents are just gorgeous. My family is gorgeous. And we invited a number of international workers to come throughout my childhood. They would come and work on our farm. We'd give them board and food, and they would be a part of the family. And then, after a season, they would then go off and travel around Australia. So it's like a homestay experience. And we loved it. I loved it. It's how we, growing up in country Queensland, got to understand a little bit more about the world. Hence, when I turned 18, I was straight away overseas. And so there was one particular man who I formed an immediate bond with and just absolutely loved and adore. And through time and just, obviously, what unfolded was an inappropriate sexual act at the age of when I was 3 or 4. And that hasn't been the thing that has created the trauma. There was this connection, there was a love, I felt safe. It was actually that he had promised me this big jar of lollies. They came from Canada. I've never had tasted anything like them before. They were like these little red candies. And the immediate day after this inappropriate act, I remember standing in the kitchen and my dad was like, oh, he's leaving. He's come up to say goodbye. And, look, isn't it lovely? He's given us this big jar of lollies, like a big jar of lollies that I had been promised. And I remember seeing them on the table and just this heartache and like sense of what did I do wrong? And this immediate but he's leaving and he hasn't told me. And we then went downstairs and I remember watching him walk away and he didn't turn around. He didn't come and talk to me. It was like this just cut off, no doubt because of his own shame and self-loathing and his own process. And I remember just crying so much. My sister I remember she's 3 or 4 years older than me, putting her arm around me, thinking to their knowledge, it was about that I just had this strong connection with him. Of course, I'm going to miss him, but not knowing the depth of what really had happened. And as I watched him walk away, there was this sense of like, why? Why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? And in this is what trauma is. It's the hurt. It's this unresolved stress state. I didn't know how to handle this. I'm on my own. I'm not to talk to my mum and dad about it. I felt alone. I felt so hurt because he promised them to me, but yet they're given to the family. And now he's just gone and he's given me no counsel, no reassurance. And so we create a painful narrative to make sense of why this has happened. And for me, it was like, I'm not of value. I'm not to be loved. I'm not worthy because he's broken his promise. I created a meaning about myself versus understanding it was him. He's at fault. It's his responsibility. I'm a 3-year-old. You understand? 3 or 4-year-old. And so in that, I was sitting with it, and that energy and painful narrative became a part of my identity. And so not knowing how to truly resolve that or support myself through it. And, obviously I'm in a loving family. It wasn't that I wasn't loved. It's just that it became who I was. It was a deep sense of hurt. That then set up my behaviors and how, of course, when you have trauma, it sets the scene for more trauma. It influences how you make decisions and interact with other people, the coping mechanisms that you have in order to feel safe. And so come to going to kindergarten. I remember getting caught. I got in trouble because one of my friend's mum contacted my mum because I had been stealing her gorgeous little statues and taking them into kindergarten to give them to my friends, people who I wanted to become my friends. And that way, if I give this to you, you will then be my best friend. And there was this real sense of having to give to others in order for them to value me, to feel valued, to feel good enough. And that sense of like sticking to your promises and delivering and overcompensating, like, chasing and pursuing and being desperate for love, connection, a sense of value, appreciation, but most importantly, approval. And of course, that sets the scene of making a very tricky teenage time and teenage years and influencing how I be in relationships with boys and, and navigating all of that. And then really for me, what has really changed my life is coming in to a place of deep self-love and compassion and healing and resolving that energy or that fragment of myself that resulted from this event, the energy, the narrative, and really resolving that, embracing this back into love, with love, embracing it back to whole. Often you'll hear me say, this process of following our bliss and claiming life on our own terms and enjoying unimaginable success and wealth is really, leading ourselves on the path and learning to love the unlovable bits back to whole. And for me, it's been this journey of resolution and healing of these deep core patterns and narratives that influence everything. You imagine that part of me is still saying, wait up, he's going to walk away. I'm going to be abandoned. I can't trust people. I'm no good. I'm not of value. Who am I? I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy of all of this. It becomes our identity. And so how I've really met that is through really honoring my need for approval and significance and love. And so let's dive into what that means more. But first, I'm going to take us through a couple of other keys, and then we'll get into the emotional needs, which is really where the juice is at. It's something that I've done a whole course about it. It's in Heart of Bliss. And this is the second part of my Burnout to Bliss process, because we can just say, oh no, I'm of value, I'm worthy, but do we actually feel it? Are we actually embodied in it, centered in this truth? And I have spoken to thousands and thousands of beautiful, smart, intelligent women who are in burnout, and they know themselves. I've had women say to me, I know it's because of a deep sense of unworthiness and feeling unlovable that I keep tripping myself up. I'm pushing away my husband. I'm jeopardizing my opportunities at work. I know anytime I get money, I just spend it. I lose myself. I know it's because of that I'm sabotaging my health and eating all the wrong foods, because why should I even take care of myself? Because I'm an unworthy, worthless piece of crap. And hearing women say this, and they know that that's the key to them getting everything that they want and really enjoying life and feeling whole and full and fulfilled and content, but yet not knowing how to go about it. And then some just are in such that state that it trips them up, that they can't even trust in themselves enough to take a step forward outside their comfort zone and really resolve this, knowing like, oh my God, I can help you. I'm saying to them, I can help you with this. I get you. I've been in this exact same classroom, sweetheart. Take my hand and let's do this. And so, that is how important this work is, because on the other side of it, I've seen for myself and thousands of women who I've supported and hundreds of my clients in my Burnout to Bliss program, Expanding Bliss program, how much this work makes a difference. So the first key, and this is going to resonate with you, I'm sure of it, is where it's understanding that when we navigate our people-pleasing tendencies, it's way more than just saying no. Now, there is so much attention on the internet, on social media around put boundaries in place, say no. We can get a bit sassy and tell them all to F off and like I'm cutting all those toxic people out of my life. Yes. And that's fantastic. And really breaking free of people pleasing is more than just implementing a one-time boundary or just saying no. Now, the reason is because how we actually put a boundary in place that is felt and heard and respected and valued and honored. So it's two different things. You can just say, no, that's my boundary. But whether or not it's actually honored and valued and respected is another thing. So if you're finding like you're in this recurrent pattern of saying no to your boss or to your partner, yet you just find yourself wobbling and then you're back into the old pattern of saying, yes, I'll work on that project again tonight, or I'll do your share of the housework then. It's fine, I'll do it. You sit on the couch, sweetheart. I love supporting. Convincing yourself that you love to help people. Like, this is what really makes me happy. Now, with this, it's understanding that there's the energetics. And how you can easily understand this is if you are a mum, you will have experiences, I'm sure, where your kids are just like, "Mummy, mummy, mummy, can I please have some ice cream?" Now, I've noticed that if I am like, "Oh, actually, ice cream would be kind of nice." And then like I'm pausing and I'm thinking about, well, what sugar have we had today? What treats have we had? They will be like, "Woo, I can feel it. I can feel it." If I'm like, "No," but I'm wavering within me going, "I don't know, maybe I kind of feel like I want ice cream." My kids they're incessant. "Come on, mum, please." They don't take no for an answer. "Come on, mum, come on. It'll be so good. We know you want it. Come on, mum." Whereas if I'm like so certain myself and I just say, they go, "Mummy, mummy, can we have ice cream?" I'm like, "Nope, we're not having ice cream tonight." "Oh, okay." It is like immediately resolved. Immediately. Now, it might be that you don't want ice cream. It might be that you have a fear that if you say no, they're going to overreact and it's just going to ruin bedtime. And so I better give them what they want. And what they can feel is that wobble, that fear, that uncertainty in the energetics of you holding strong to your standards and being able to actually say no or implement a boundary or communicate what your needs are and what you want and how you want things to unfold. So that's really important to understand. Now, the second key to really helping yourself show up powerfully is realizing the real reason why we people please in the first place and meet that with such profound self-love and compassion. As I shared with you my story, it's not that I'm not smart or intelligent. It was because there's a part of me that truly was stuck in this narrative of like hurt and fear. And like whenever we don't want to feel something, we compensate for that. And my overcompensation was to give so much more of myself in order to get a sense of validation and approval. And this really flowed into even when I was a junior doctor. It was one of the things, my need for external approval was one of the big factors when it came to spiraling into burnout, because there's this constant sense of having to keep up with what them peoples think, which peoples, these peoples in here, looking for being so sensitive and looking for all the signs of people not approving of me. "Oh, my boss, he doesn't think I'm smart enough, hardworking enough. I better just try harder. I know I'm giving 110%, but tomorrow I'm going to give 150%. Yeah, okay. I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. and then I'll do this and then I'll prepare and then that's really going to impress him." Oh my gosh, it's not, what about me? What about me? Is it like, I don't feel impressed by myself. Like I'm not valuing myself here. I'm just completely spiraling into burnout and jeopardizing everything that's most important to me and everything that I've worked hard for. So our behavior, and this is going to be an absolute game changer for you. So you're really listening to this part. This is a key takeaway. Our behavior is determined by our desire to meet our emotional needs. We believe that because we say, "Stop people pleasing," say no, I'm going to put in a firm boundary, I'm going to tell that person to go away, I am going to call in someone new, that's it, I've got new standards for myself. And then you find yourself tomorrow is exactly the same as what today was, or yesterday was. And so we just find these patterns playing out again and again and again in our life. Why? Because it's our emotional nature that wins every time, for better or worse. I work with incredibly intelligent, strong, brilliant women, incredible minds. They are they are on the vanguard of change in their industries. They have accomplished amazing things. And even for them, they sabotage themselves. They people please. Why? Because our emotional nature is so much stronger than our intellect. And that is why you lose your head and you sabotage yourself. You say yes when you want to say no. You people please. You care more about them, what they think of you, than actually honoring what you need in the situation. And so I talk a lot about this in my Heart of Bliss course. There's 7 emotional needs that when you realize, oh my gosh, the first step is, sweetheart, You have emotional needs. Needs are not non-negotiable. Needs are not negotiable. They are non-negotiable. Let me say that again because I stumbled. Let's get this real. Our needs are non-negotiable. They're not wants. They're not maybes, kindas. Would be nice. These are needs. And we have an emotional need for love. Like, we know through studies, if babies don't receive love because of I think it was a review of orphanages in Eastern Europe somewhere where they were given all of the physical needs and nourishments that they needed, but they didn't have love and human touch. The babies died because they don't have human touch. They don't have love. We're just big babies. We need love. But we also need, as I shared with you, significance. It's a need. If we don't have this sense of attention, if we don't give ourselves attention, we are the one who is like, look at me, look at me. We flip into arrogancy or we flip way into low self-esteem, two sides of the same coin. We're the ones that as soon as we get a little, like, I mean, in medical school, this is as soon as the medical students got drunk because of this not meeting their emotional needs of significance or attention, all of a sudden you get rid of what we refer to as the inner adult or the rule-based part of ourselves. And this is where we're up and, like, you know, doing a striptease up on top of the bar to get attention. We have an emotional need for attention, for significance, like celebration. And this is really important if you procrastinate, but approval. And you just have to look, if you've got small children, have a look at that. Mommy, look at me. What do you think? Oh, look, you know, we're seeking approval. And so for me, actually acknowledging that that's all this is about, that there's a part of me that I have not met with love and compassion and given myself what it is that I need. Now, the heart principle, which is a free training that you get when you sign up for the annual Bliss Sisterhood, or you get it as a part of my Burnout to Bliss process, which is a part of Expanding Bliss. But the heart principle is recognizing that it's because of our emotional needs, our behavior, the actions we take, these things, these stubborn, unhealthy, unkind, unresourceful things that we keep doing to ourselves again and again. If we meet these emotional needs, it will change. And it's about, how do I give myself what it is that I need in a healthy, loving, kind, compassionate, friendly, fun, consistent way? And this is really the basis of pouring love into yourself. Can you see it? Because it's like there's a part of you that's screaming out for validation or value or attention or love, a sense of feeling safe, a sense of feeling assured, comfort. There's a part of you in people pleasing that needs something from you. And if you don't give it to yourself, then you will say yes when you want to say no. You will keep pushing. You'll go for 12 hours without going to the toilet or having anything to eat because I don't have enough time. I got to put out all these fires and worry about everything else and everyone else's needs and put it over my own, and end up feeling really sick, getting chronic autoimmunity, feeling broken. Oh my gosh. So this is really, really important. And then it's like recognize, and this is what I teach called, it's the Moana method. Again, it's a part of my Burnout to Bliss process, but it's this beautiful thing of like, okay, this now sets the path forward for me to consciously choose in any new healthy behavior. So if you don't want to people please and you want to really put in place a strong boundary, right? Then give yourself what it is that you need. You got to work out why am I doing this in the first place? And then meet that in the new healthy behavior. And it's fantastic. And it will never be just one thing. When we see patterns that are unhealthy, unkind, unresourceful, you know, those stubborn things that you're like, I'm here again. Oh my God, I can't believe nothing's working. The reason is because that unkind pattern is meeting 3 of your emotional needs. at least 3 or 4 of your emotional needs. So it might be cool, you get some love. There's an emotional payoff of love in it. There's an emotional payoff of validation or significance or security or assurance or nourishment in it. And so it's just recognizing this is what makes us tick. It's our emotional nature that wins every time, for better or worse. So you might as well get on board with your emotional nature. Jump into expanding bliss. Let's get you, plugged into heart of bliss and tapped into your heart. Really living life honoring your emotional needs, because it's what will make you feel so, so unstoppable and absolutely lit up in the world and honoring yourself in the right way. Now let's work on key number 3 to really helping you to show up so powerfully as your true self. And that is taking control of the meaning that we give our self-worth and value. Now this is going to make sense, right? Once you've recognized that there is these emotional needs that haven't been met, unresolved trauma that gets to be loved back into whole, and with that a faulty narrative, we can start to realize that actually what I have believed defines my worth and value isn't true. And if you keep unraveling this, it's like pull that piece of string and it's like unravel. You unravel all of these stories and what you believe defines your value. And you come to the most core truth that is my truth. It's your truth. It's every single person's truth on this planet. And that is that we are inherently of value. Our self-worth is because we have this precious human existence. I am worthy because I am. And there is no other truth except for that. And honestly, the mind will come up and these fragments of yourself, the trauma, the coping mechanisms will say, yeah, but you're only of value because you're a doctor. You're only of value because of this position and the amount of money you earn. And oh, you're only of value and worthy because of your contribution and how much you give to your family. You're only of value if you actually do every single night, read to your kids 20 minutes and follow step by step all the guidelines and rules that you tell yourself to be a really good mum. No. Sweetheart, you're a good mum because you decide you are. You're a fantastic person because you decide you are. You have choice over this. You have choice over who you are and how you see yourself and show up and just honor, I am worthy because I am. And it's this beautiful process of saying that to yourself, and you can feel all this discomfort like, oh my gosh, like you can say it, but to really feel it and believe it is a different thing. And that's this process of healing that we're all on. And it's like myself, like I caught myself, like I shared with you with my mentor going, oh, I really feel like I should do that, even though, I'm going to go support my family with their court case and I've got Easter coming up and I'd like to spend some time with the boys. And it's like, oh, but if I don't do that, then I'm starting to notice that I feel a little guilty and ashamed and disappointed and oh my God. And it's just catch it, love it, be with it. This is life. This is the beauty of a human experience. And we got to love our humanness. And this process of loving our humanness and then choosing what defines us, our inherent value and self-worth, it's our choice. And you are worthy because you are. I am worthy because I am. And it can be so challenging because when you've got all these other programs and narratives running the show, like when I'm in burnout, the thing that really triggered me or motivated me to do something about it was when I completely felt so intensely humiliated because I decompensated so much that I wasn't able to help a patient who had code blue, who he had basically stopped breathing, had an immediate crash right in front of me. And I decompensated so much that I got a tremor and I was unable to help. There's a little bit more to the story, of course, because it was a bit of a weird spiritual experience for me. But that humiliation, because it jeopardized my sense of value, like I had poured so much of my love and attention into being a most proficient, excellent, awesome doctor. I mean, I'd volunteered in Africa. I knew how to do procedures. I'm out there. I'm pushing the boundaries. I'm excellent. I'm wonderful. And then I decompensated, and it really shook this sense of value for me. And that was like, oh my gosh, if I'm not a doctor, then who the hell am I? And I was like this sense of my whole world, like walls crumbling down around me, because it's like, but the beautiful thing is that that's just the shedding of layer. And if you're facing that right now, as you transmute it, as you transverse that landscape, as you navigate it all, there is a shedding to come back to the most simplest and profound truth, which is, sweetheart, you're not that. You are worthy just simply because you are. It's not because of the titles you have, the labels you have, how much money you have, all of that. And so I'm banging on about this point because it's so incredible and it's so important. And the thing is, community helps. Like, if we don't do this work and we don't have these conversations, it's a minefield out there. Honestly, it is like we're constantly being bombarded with marketing and social media and psychology that's used against us to make us feel unworthy, to make us feel needy, to make us feel less than, and dismissing our inherent worth so that we can conform and fit in and say yes, and do things even though we don't really want to do it. We want to embrace aging, but actually, oh my God, I've got more wrinkles than my friends, so I better go get Botox and all these other things. Nothing against it, by the way. Nothing against them. All for whatever lights you up and makes you feel happy, as long as it's from the right energy and the right reasons, from a sense of worthiness. And this is so important, because unless we really meet ourselves here in the heart, and for those listening to the podcast, you won't see that I'm actually holding my heart right now. Like, it's nice to connect in there. We just end up striving and striving and striving, stuck in our head, trying to fill the void within. And we all have the ability to pour love into ourselves, to feel full, have a full heart that overflows then. And we can make decisions from that place. If we do want to get work done on our face, or buy beautiful clothes, or have a luxury holiday, or just, do other things, we're doing it from a place of love. Because if we don't, it will never be enough. And we do these things and we just end up there with the same feeling but different story. So the 3 essential keys, as a recap, was number 1, just recognizing that if we truly want to step out of our people-pleasing tendencies, it's more than just embracing the power of saying no. And it's an energy that is felt. And so we got to work on things at that level if we want to truly put boundaries in place and feel empowered. Number 2 is realize the real reason why we people please, and address that with loads of self-love, loads of self-compassion, loving those unlovable bits of us, the fragments that sit in separation, energy that is unresolved stress, the story, the painful narrative, and the coping mechanisms, the compensation. We've got to love that back into whole. And this is a process. It's not like, it's just when your mind throws these things at you, you can like, oh no, hello, old friend. And you lead yourself through it. And number 3 is taking control of the meaning we give our self-worth and value. Because the core truth, the principle that is within you and all of us, and we are inherently of value and of worth. I'm worthy because I am. You're worthy because you are. It has been such a beautiful experience being here, and thank you so much for holding space and receiving everything that I've shared. And honestly, I just know if you sit with this, be gentle with yourself, it will help support change to happen on a bigger level. But things don't just change with information alone. I think it creates this shift, like insights of like, oh, that's the direction, or oh, that makes sense, or oh, it shows you what it is that needs to be loved or addressed, or puts you on a path that sometimes is very unexpected. And like, hello, that's been my journey. It's like heading as a conventional doctor, and then all of a sudden an insight, and it's like, oh, hello, now I'm a spiritual teacher 10 years down, a spiritual mentor. And so the thing is, it's when we implement it that change really happens. So you can know that you have emotional needs, but the real transformation and change happens when you learn how to actually give to yourself what it is that you need. And it's about learning that we have an emotional nature. It's about realizing that often we have such a misguided understanding, judgments about our emotions, and that we get to transform that, and we get to really use our emotional nature to fuel our dreams, not sabotage them. And so I really look forward to hearing from some of you, whether it's joining in our Bliss Sisterhood or coming to apply to join me in the Expanding Bliss, so we can take you on this incredible journey of getting tapped into your heart and following your bliss with strength, grace, and ease. It's been so wonderful. Sending you so much love wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye. It has been so beautiful spending this time with you. If you found today's episode inspiring or helpful, please subscribe, give us a good review, and share the love. I invite you to be a part of the Bliss movement. Join our Bliss Sisterhood or apply to join my Expanding Bliss program. The links are in my bio, and I cannot wait to be doing life with you soon. Stay tuned for the next episode, where I'll be sharing more training, stories, strategies, and solutions to guide you towards your bliss.